There's a moment that happens to certain people when life gets heavy. They need help, but something inside them won't let them ask. Their chest tightens, their thoughts speed up, their jaw locks, and instead of reaching out, they go quiet. They disappear into problem-solving mode. They tell themselves they'll handle it alone. They always do. From the outside, it looks like strength. It looks like independence. But underneath that image is something far more complex, because this usually isn't confidence, it's conditioning. So ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you truly asked another person for help? Not searched online, not figured it out quietly. Actually asked. If that question creates discomfort, stay with it. That feeling is the doorway into everything we're talking about today. Most people assume they struggle to ask for help because they're proud, stubborn, private, or naturally independent. That's the surface explanation. The deeper truth is psychological. For many people, resistance to asking for help is not a personality trait. It's a protective system, a system the mind built years ago to reduce risk, avoid disappointment, and maintain control. And the reason it still feels so powerful now is because at some point in your life, asking for support came with a cost. The mind remembers emotional outcomes. If support was inconsistent, if comfort was unavailable, if asking made adults irritated, dismissive, or distant, your nervous system noticed. Even if you were too young to explain it, your body understood the lesson. Need carefully, depend carefully. Don't expect too much. Handle what you can yourself. This is why some people become highly capable long before they become deeply connected. They learn competence as protection. They learn self-sufficiency as safety. They become the reliable one, the calm one, the one who doesn't need much. And because the world rewards that image, no one questions what built it. Psychologist John Bowlby, whose attachment research changed modern psychology, observed that children adapt strongly to the reliability of care around them. When support feels unpredictable, some children stop reaching outward altogether, not because they stop needing comfort, but because uncertainty becomes more painful than silence. So they adjust. They become less expressive, less dependent, more self-contained. It looks mature, but often it begins as survival. And here's what makes this difficult to recognize later in life. You probably don't remember consciously choosing it. There was no day you decided never to ask again. It happened gradually, quietly, through repetition, through moments that taught your system one message again and again: relying on others is risky. Now, fast forward to adulthood. Someone asks if you need anything. Maybe they genuinely care, but before you can even think, the answer comes out automatically. I'm fine. I got it. No worries. And maybe part of you even believes it. Because for people with this pattern, asking for help doesn't feel neutral. It feels charged, sometimes heavier than the actual problem itself. That's because asking for help is not just a social act. It can be a physiological one. The moment vulnerability becomes possible, the body may respond like danger is near. The chest tightens, breathing changes, muscles tense, thoughts race ahead. What if they say no? What if I'm too much? What if they judge me? What if I owe them? To someone without this pattern, those reactions may sound dramatic, but to the nervous system, they are real. Research has shown that the brain can process rejection and social threat using circuits similar to physical pain. In other words, the body doesn't always separate emotional risk from physical risk as neatly as logic does. So when someone says, just ask for help, they may be speaking to your mind, but your body may be answering first, and your body is answering from memory. This is why many highly self-reliant people feel confused by themselves. They know help would make things easier. They know others ask all the time. They know it would be rational. Yet, something in them resists. That resistance often isn't irrationality. It's old intelligence, a system trying to prevent pain it once learned mattered. But protection always has a price. Carrying everything alone is exhausting in ways that are hard to explain. It's not just the weight of responsibilities. It's the invisible weight of constant containment, the effort of looking okay while struggling, the habit of translating overwhelm into "I'm just tired," the reflex to minimize pain before anyone else can dismiss it first. Psychologists refer to part of this as emotional suppression, and while it can feel useful short-term, research links chronic suppression with higher stress, anxiety, and lower relationship satisfaction, meaning the strategy that protects you in the moment may slowly drain you over time. Picture a familiar scene. It's late at night. You're in bed. Your mind is replaying the same issue for the fourth time this week. You've thought through every angle. You're exhausted, but you still don't message anyone. You still say, "I'll figure it out." And maybe you do. You usually do. That's what makes the loop so convincing. Self-reliance often works just enough to stay unquestioned. You solve the problem eventually, which becomes proof that you never needed anyone. But what goes unseen is the cost, the stress, the loneliness, the emotional toll. Then something even more subtle happens. The pattern starts shaping your relationships. When you rarely reveal what you're carrying, people begin assuming you don't need support. They stop checking in deeply. They trust your "I'm fine." Then you notice the distance and interpret it as evidence. See, people don't really show up, so you withdraw more. This creates a painful loop. You protect yourself from disappointment by not reaching out. But because you don't reach out, you never gather the experiences that could challenge the belief. The old story survives untouched. The same pattern that keeps you safe keeps you alone. And here is the deepest part of all this. Eventually, the pattern becomes identity. You stop seeing it as something you learned and start seeing it as who you are. I'm just independent. I don't need people. I'm private. I handle my own problems. These statements can feel true because they've been repeated for years. But sometimes identity is just adaptation that lasted too long. You are not always seeing your personality. Sometimes you are seeing your history. That distinction matters because it changes the emotion attached to the problem. When you believe this is a flaw, you judge yourself. But when you understand it as adaptation, something softer appears. You built a system that helped you survive environments where depending on others felt uncertain. Of course it became strong. Of course it still activates. Of course asking feels strange. There is nothing irrational about a nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. The issue is not that the system exists. The issue is that systems built for old environments often continue running in new ones. You may no longer be surrounded by the same people or conditions that shaped this response. But your body may still be reacting as if you are. And this is where change begins. Not with forcing yourself to become dependent overnight. Not with shaming yourself into vulnerability. Change begins with noticing. Notice the next time someone asks how you are, and the word "fine" rises automatically. Notice the moment you spend 3 hours struggling with something a 5-minute conversation could solve. Notice how quickly you apologize for having needs. Notice the discomfort of receiving support, not just asking for it. These small moments reveal the pattern in real time. And once a pattern is visible, it becomes less powerful. Awareness creates distance. Distance creates choice. Choice creates change. You don't need to lose your strength. Self-reliance has gifts: resilience, competence, endurance. The goal is not to destroy strength. It is to remove the fear attached to softness. To learn that support and strength can exist in the same person. That asking does not erase capability. That needing others sometimes is not failure. And maybe the first step is smaller than you think. Maybe it isn't asking for everything. Maybe it's one honest sentence. "I'm having a hard week. I could use another perspective. I don't know what to do. I don't want to carry this alone." For someone without this pattern, those may sound simple. For someone with it, those can be revolutionary. Because each honest moment gives your nervous system new data. Help can be safe, support can be real, need can be met. So if this video felt personal, it may be because it named something you've lived with for years but never fully recognized. You were never weak for struggling to ask. You were adaptive. You were strategic. You were protecting yourself with the tools available at the time. But protection is not meant to become a prison. The real question isn't whether you can ask for help. It's how many other patterns in your life were built for versions of reality that no longer exist. And once you start seeing them, it becomes very hard to unsee them. If this gave language to something you've felt for a long time, subscribe. The next video goes deeper into why some people feel invisible even in close relationships, and how that feeling begins much earlier than most realize. And before you leave, pay attention to the next moment life gets heavy. When the instinct to disappear and handle everything alone appears, pause. Then ask yourself one honest question: is this strength or memory?